Hello, good people of YouTube. Oh, you guys see me. As before we get into it, before I show my beautiful face, we shall kick it off by talking about this disclaimer, which my moderator Cameron has made, who is here in the chat today. Thank you very much once again. But I am not a financial advisor. If any of you are new here, please note I am not a professional advisor, which you should take all my words to consideration. Just keep it like, entertainment slash, you know, resources, let's say. Like, keep it as part of your research, but please cross check it and, don't believe everything I say. Always cross check it, validate it online and with your own sources, and yeah, make your own decisions. Do your own research before you buy or sell anything I talk about, because I might be wrong. And yes, hello, good people of YouTube. I am here again, and I need to get rid of this text. Oh, yeah, started. Yes. Alright, so. Cameron, all is good. You can calm down. I think you need to calm down. No, I'm joking. Ezra, I've sold my Apple and Tesla stock for combined profit of 135%. That's really good. Good on you, Ezra. What? These were doing like okay, right? Oh, I gotta. Let me do the password thingy. Password thingy. I'll do it later. Alright, we're back. So, Apple, what has it been doing? It hasn't done much, right? It double topped, so it hit the all-time high again. Then it kind of came down. Okay, so that's what happened. Okay. It came up a lot in the past year, though. Not gonna lie, it's actually not a bad profit at all. It's just if you're coming in right now, that's the issue, right? Same with Tesla. Tesla is probably feeling a lot of heat because they hit their all-time high back in 2021. They never, for 2 years, it literally never came back. I completely predicted this, and I think for a lot of you, I always said Tesla is so overpriced and you should reconsider buying it, because yeah, it's a good company, but it's like the market they were going against, like EV market. There's a lot of competition now. You see Korean EVs, Chinese EVs, like you see BYD everywhere, like build your dream, that brand. Not gonna lie, the the name of the brand is kind of weird, but they look okay and they're quite good budget. Like they fit into really low budgets, which is kind of like the nice parts. But Tesla as well. I mean, good thing you sold it, because I think it's gonna come down a bit, especially with the competition getting a bit more fierce over the years, and there's a lot of uncertainty around EVs. I think at the moment, not like I'm not gonna say it's not the future, but it's kind of hard to say when it will be mass adopted by people, and also how that's gonna go. So Tesla is not a company I would want to buy in this recession, especially going forward. Their edge in the EV space is not that great. People don't really care about autopilot, to be honest. It's cool in the first time, but people don't really need it. And as I said before, for autopilot to work properly, you need majority of the cars, if not all cars on the road, to be running on autopilot to see the benefits of autopilot. I think there's too many uncertainties, and I don't think I can fully trust autopilot too much. Like, what happens if you die using autopilot? Like, what happens if the road markings just disappear? Like, I don't know. Like, there are gonna be edge cases that I don't really want the computer doing everything for me, and that kind of stuff. Anyways, good stuff, Ezra. Ben Davis, Cameron, good to have in the live stream too. Ezra, $2. Thank you very much for the $2. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I haven't got donations in a long time. To be fair, I haven't been on YouTube for a long time, so fair enough. Yeah. So, yeah, if I'm too loud or if I'm too soft, just let me know and I'll try to do something. But just fiddling with these settings because, it's always ongoing. um, Ezra, I've been buying more IFT as it did well for me in late 2022 and 2023. IFT. Alright, you know what, guys? For everyone who wanted Simply Wall Street back, I've got Simply Wall Street. I rebought the damn plan again. It's expensive, I'm telling you. It is so expensive. Look what I got. I got the... Man. It's nearly $10 per month. USD. That's not cheap. Obviously, and for someone who don't really do stocks right now, I'm gonna be very straightforward. The title of this live stream is stocks to buy in 2024. I'll give you some stocks, and if you guys want me to look into some stocks, let me know. It's not going to be very thorough, but I can look through the rough graphs and infographics and the rough balance sheets and all that kind of stuff just to see if it looks like it's going on the right trend or not for the upcoming year or two. That's the least I could do, but I don't know any like events going on with the companies. I don't know everything about the company. I don't know what the general consensus is and like the markets industry. If it's an industry I don't really know about, then I wouldn't be able to explain much about. So just let me know. Take it with a grain of salt, but I have got Simply Wall Street back for you guys for me to kind of look through companies. So I'll look into IFD pretty soon because Mr. Ezra has purchased that as well. IFT was one of my favorites back in the days as well. Yeah, they're a bunch of they buy a bunch of infrastructure companies pretty much. So they just it's just a infrastructure investment firm, let's say. So yeah, $8.9 billion. They're a very big company, you're not gonna lie. And they came up a lot in the past years, right? Like I remember looking at it when it was around this time, right? Around $4, $5. Because this is when I talked about Infratel, and back then there was a time I bought Infratel for a very short amount of time because I was very interested in it before I sold everything in like March, just around here before that massive dip, as you can see, because that was when the pandemic hit. So then it's been doing pretty good ever since, right? But I guess there's a few things going like dividend decrease and stuff like that. And I guess that will depend on their financial status, which is fair. It's okay. Simply Wall Street is you should not take everything from Simply Wall Street don't take it as it is. Like give it a grain of salt as well, because these fair value, these are all done by analysts and stuff like that. So who really knows what it's actually valued? Sure, you can do like intrinsic value analysis, but we're not going to do anything like that. If you want something like that, ask Josh, the actual financial guy. I'm just like a trend reader. I do my data analysis, but nothing to like the accounting level stuff. So I could do it, but no, I don't really. No, not really. But yeah, the PE ratio is really good now, not gonna lie. It was very high back in the days, but it's coming down to very reasonable. Single digit PE ratios are very good. Just something to know. If it's under 6, if it's 6, that's really good. Under 10, I'd say it's pretty good. It's really good if it's under 5. Because the more overpriced a stock is based on what it really makes in terms of earnings, the more overpriced it is. So the more overpriced, it's a higher PE value. Like you can see Tesla was reaching like 1,000 PE ratio at one point. That's Tesla being very very expensive at one point in its lifetime. So that's kind of the thing. I see the earnings came up a lot, which is really good. It's like majority of the revenue, which is nice. Damn, they got really nice infographics now though. So they have a revenue and expense breakdown. So they got a lot of earnings, a bit of expenses, operating costs. They have general administration, cost of sales. Alright. Alright. Yeah, they had some rough times during the pandemic, which is fine, which is most companies. Then they're back on the rise. So infrastructure companies do reasonably well during recessions because a lot of companies, we don't suddenly not use infrastructure when we go into a recession or something like that. So these are kind of one of the reasons why they do pretty good during these times. But yeah, other than that, their debt to equity ratio is really good now at 67%, which used to be like 100% pretty much, but they kind of diverged ever since, and it's been pretty good. They took a lot of debt though. I don't know what happened here. They must have done another sale or something. So they must have bought something. I don't know what they were covering for, but yeah, they must have bought something and they took a debt for it. So not sure. That's the thing, right? These are the kind of things I don't really know about. Yeah, and I wouldn't really call this a really good dividend stock because it only gives 1.8%. Yeah, not really the best. When I say it's a good dividend stock, I'm expecting at least around 5%. During these days, anything above 6, 7 is good, to be honest. Yeah. It needs to be better than a term deposit, in my opinion. If it's not even doing better than a term deposit, why are you putting your money in a dividend stock when you can do term deposit? Sure, the main difference between term deposit and dividend stocks is that term deposit, you're guaranteed to get your principal back plus the interest. It does not change. It's a static value. Dividend stocks, everything's a bit more fluid, right? Like you get the principal back. I mean, your principal can double in value. It can quadruple in value and 10x your value over the past of over the next 2-3 years. It's always possible because it is a stock, but it also gives you dividends, which you can, compound interest and reinvest that into your principal. So, that's how it kind of works for dividend stocks. So there's pros and cons between terms and term deposits. But yeah, this is not really a good dividend stock, I'd say, but then again, the share price is going up. So when the share price goes up a lot, the dividends normally don't go up, as much as well. It kind of like balances out, if you know what I mean. Well, that's the general trend I normally see, at least. But yeah, everyone's buying. Maybe because they're all part of the company and they might know something. Who knows? Yeah, a lot of these people might know some insider infos. Who knows, really? Yeah. Fisher Funds has sold a whole bunch, though. Alright. Which was like nearly 1 year ago. Fair enough. But yeah, they're big enough with JP Morgan, Vanguard, and ACC. All these big guys, BlackRock, they all have a piece of Infratel as well. So, Infratel's not a bad company in this kind of times. Infrastructure companies are reasonably safer options compared to anything else. So, if you want to buy stocks, it's one of an option. But, yeah, dividend stocks is definitely the way to go in my opinion. But yeah, we'll have to see. Alright, I talked too much about IFT, so I'll just carry on with the chat and catch up with everyone. So hello Stevo. Leanne, good to have the live stream, guys. Yeah, it's your 5th super chat, yeah. So yeah, once again, thank you for the $2, Israel. Sold Apple at $185 cost average from the $145. Oh, that's really good. Nvidia for the win. Yes, I did see a lot of Nvidia. Nvidia is one of those. we're going into a recession. That's what I think, right? People don't like it when I say recession, but recessions are very necessary for the cycle, the economic cycle to go through. It needs to keep going. We need if there's a uptrend, there will always be a downtrend, and normally the uptrend is it goes on for longer, slower, and the downtrends are normally shorter and sharper. You know, and that's just how it is. It's just historically always been like that, and it just makes sense because you do need to reset the cycle so it can go up more in the future. There is no such thing where it just keeps going out without any downfalls. So, when we say there's going to be economic downfall, I'm generally expecting the stock market to crash or, go into a bear market around 6 months to 12 months after the recession hits, right? And if I'm expecting the recession to hit sometime this year, then I'm expecting the stock market bear market to come, the stock bear market to come over maybe early mid 2025. So if that's the case, you'd be looking at what kind of stocks would I want to buy right now. I'd want to buy dividend stocks or companies that just has an edge right now. They have like a big turning point where they can make a lot of money regardless of the recession. You do not want to stick with companies that are affected so much by recession, economic activity downfall, meaning if there's less consumers out about. Let's say if it's a company that focuses so much on people's wants rather than people's needs, then those are the kind of companies you normally want to stay away from because we don't really need it right now. At the same time, it doesn't always have to be like that. New sectors boom in recessions, and Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, all these companies, they mostly arose. They started gaining a lot of traction from dark times like the dot-com bubble or the Lehman Brothers, the 2008 Great Depression. So you got to keep your eyes on what stocks might really be doing good, and Nvidia was one of them, right? Because they were hopping on the hardware for AI, and that's kind of what was happening, right? And sure, like it came up a lot. Not gonna lie, it is $600. If you bought this 1 year ago, you would have pretty much like tripled your money at this point in time, right? You would have tripled your money because you could, let's say you bought it around 1st of Feb, that was $200, and now it's like $600. So yeah, you would have tripled your money. But that's the thing. How do you know? You just got to research, right? There is no other way of looking for good stocks. You just got to keep looking around. You got to look at the finances. Sometimes it's not even the finances that hype it up. Normally it's big news. Okay, in the past year, what was the biggest news in the tech industry? It was AI, right? All these companies coming up with AI solutions like ChatGPT, Google Bard, Lumiere. I don't know. There's a lot, right? And Microsoft buying ChatGPT, and there's a lot of things going on in the AI space, and they're like, oh, we got AI this, AI that. Even the new Samsung S24 has Galaxy AI, which is like a lot of interesting AI features, and being able to source hardware for AI compatibility was probably quite a big hit for the media. So the moment Nvidia hopped on that kind of bandwagon, people started buying up Nvidia, and see, they're quite expensive for what they are, right? Because their PE ratios rose a lot because their market price went up way too much because they had no financial backbone, right? They just keep going up because they're just riding the AI bandwagon, right? Sure, you could you could buy stocks like that, and those might be the stock to buy for 2024, but I'm not really sure. See, it took a while for the revenue and earnings to go up significantly. It's growing a lot slower than the price movement in the stocks. So, you got to be careful of that. But yeah. No, but the revenue and earnings is really good. Not gonna lie, it's 42%. That's um that's historically pretty good. I think that's probably the best they had so far. So that's really good. And not gonna lie, there's not that much competitors for Nvidia as well, which is also a really good thing because competitors are it's a huge thing. And you look at Tesla. Tesla has a lot of competitors now. They're trying to move to more like AI robots and stuff like that. They're kind of switching the market now because they can't really compete with all these big other automobile companies that are also creating EVs now. Where Nvidia, not many other people are making graphics cards. Not many other people are making good hardware chips for AI solutions. It's still very early markets for those kind of fields within the industry, and they're just trying to capitalize on that. So that's really nice. So Nvidia is a really nice one, Steve-O. Great, good. Cameron, CBD, Canna South. Oh yeah, obviously the best. The best stock. No, it's not the best stock, guys. I'm just joking. I'm just saying. Ezra and bought Tesla around 108, then sold at 248. Could have taken 150 profit in May. But that's the thing, right? I think there's one thing I do need to tell people is that when you're buying stock, don't try to time the market exit, right? Don't kind of like look at the graph, be like, I think this is the peak, I'm gonna sell. If you hit a price target, just sell it. It doesn't matter if it keeps going up in the next couple of weeks after you sell it or not. Be a bit more, have some boundaries on what you're going to do with the stock. If I'm buying the stock at dollar, and if I'm never going to sell it for 20 years, so I'm looking at like a very ambitious, target of like $20 per share over the next decade or two, that's totally fine. Just don't touch it. But that's the thing. Don't try to buy and sell it as it goes up and down in those, 1 or 2 year cycles. Like, it's not worth, you know, spending so much time in that because it's very hard to time that. But also, it doesn't do you any good in terms of mental health. Because you're always looking at the chart, you're always looking at, oh, I should have sold this, I should have sold this at a higher price, I should have kept buying this, I should have sold this a long time ago, why am I holding on to this still? It's not good, right? So, and it's not a very good way to do stocks unless you're a very good day trader, which is 99% of the trading population are crap. They're bad. They don't know what they're doing, right? And I was one of them, right? There was a time I used to I used to day trade, kind of didn't do too well in stocks specifically. I was more, I had more results in commodities and forex. I started with forex, and I did pretty well in commodities because of one incident, the oil price back in 2015. But you know, other than that, it never did me so well. So I just don't touch day trading anymore. It's not really my thing. It's not really my life, the life I really want to live there. So, that's the kind of things you got to think about when you're buying stocks. But yeah, I think for when you're picking stocks in 2024, you got to look at the big keywords. And Nvidia is a very good example, as I mentioned. You got to look at what are people going to be interested in, and what is going to be a mainstream thing in the next, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you know. And that's the thing you got to look at. People who bought Tesla very early on, like 10 years ago, they probably thought like, oh, there's not many EV cars there. And obviously 10 years ago, 2014, there was not many EV cars at all. It was like some hybrids, Toyota hybrids, Lexus hybrids, so on, so on. But Tesla had their Roadster out and stuff like that, but it wasn't a mainstream thing. But people looked at it, be like, okay, because fuel prices are going up, or I don't know what people thought back then, right? But some people who bought Tesla all the way back then would have been like, okay, Tesla's gonna be so good because they're ahead of the game. No one else is making EVs, and no one's focusing on it, and they're just going to capitalize on the fact that this is going to be a mainstream thing in the next 5 to 10 years. So Tesla's going to be the leader, and therefore the stock price will increase significantly. And that's what really happened, right? That's why Tesla came up so much, because it kind of started the EV boom. Now we're going on an EV stagnation, right? Like, it's EVs are. I don't think we're infrastructure wise we're not ready for EVs. Like, it's especially in New Zealand, right? Like, we don't. It's not very comfortable riding EVs around, especially if you're doing road trips. I've done a road trip with a friend that has an EV. We had to wait so long, and we were like stressing so much because we are trying to get a charger, and it was like a public holiday, so there was like a very long line and one charger in the town. And Walkworth, I think Walkworth had one charger, and there was like a very long line for it and stuff like that, you know. So all those kind of thing, right? So you got to think about it from now. What is going to be the trend in the future? 10 years ago, people would have thought, oh, streaming things are going to be a big thing. So Netflix and all these guys started coming up. Spotify came up and be like, oh, streaming music's going to be a thing instead of downloading it from like LimeWire back in the days and putting it into your MP3 files into your phone and your MP3 device. People always thought ahead of what's going to be the mainstream in the future, and Nvidia was a perfect example for the AI one. It was the hardware to run AI capabilities. So those are the kind of things you would want to think about when you're choosing stocks. That's the only really advice I can give you on a general level. And of course, the financials still matter, but if it's a smaller company, the financials don't really matter too much. It's more about its potential rather than its financials. Financials matter more for companies that are more established, big, medium sized to big tech companies, big any other industry companies. The financials has to be solid. You can't skip on the financials if it's a big company, but if it is a small company, then by all means financials can always improve as long as it has a really good product and a very good vision, right? And it has a very good purpose, and it resolves a very good need. That's another thing to think about as well. Ezra, we need a GT3 RS for all of us once you take us for Korean barbecue. Keep dreaming, mate. Keep dreaming. Leanne, $2 for towards KBBQ or $2 towards Simply Wall Street. I guess Ezra has donated me $2 for Simply Wall Street. It was expensive, very expensive. It was like $150 for a year, which is not cheap at all. Gosh, my neighbors. Anyways, Cameron, I want to deep dive into CBD. I feel it's really undervalued. I think it's worth its value right now. Unfortunately. Steve, your thoughts on AI stocks? It's a hard one, but I think a lot of companies are going towards AI, and I think whether you're in crypto or stocks, focusing on AI might be a good thing because you can still ride the wave, and AI is coming out everywhere, and you can even see it, right? You can see it, ChatGPT. If you use Teams and Microsoft kind of Office, the Microsoft stack, then they included AI to a lot of these things like Copilot, and Samsung Galaxy AI came out now, which is on the new S24. There's a lot of need for AI. Well, that's what the companies want you to believe. Do people really need AI? Different question, right? Like, there's no answer to it, because did people really need the internet? Not really. I mean, I guess in hindsight, it really boosted the economy, boosted how we get information, how we learn stuff. It changed a lot of things, right? In the past decades, internet changed a lot. But did we need it? Not really. I don't think so. There wasn't any problems with doing trades or just like the generic stuff. So think of it like this: AI would be a thing for people to use to make life more efficient, make certain procedures more efficient, makes your work more efficient, you know. That's probably like the better way to approach it. And for that reason, is AI a really good stock? AI stocks are a good thing to focus on. Yeah, why not? But I think when it first becomes a big thing, there's gonna be a lot of things popping up in the next year or two, right? And everyone's trying to jump on the AI wagon. Google, Microsoft, everyone. And you just gotta know which one are going to stay for the future and which ones are gonna be like that hot shot, once in a once in a while kind of thing, and it just drops down right away. You gotta know, you gotta have an eye for picking out the ones that will become the actual future rather than the ones that's just riding the bandwagon. Because when the bandwagon is created, everyone's gonna jump on the bandwagon, like the lithium bandwagon, the bandwagon, the EV bandwagon, and now AI bandwagon. There's always gonna be bandwagons, and there's gonna be times where you have to still look into it properly. You can't just buy any AI stock just because it's gonna be a thing. Sure, AI is gonna be a thing, but now there's gonna be a lot of talks around how to regulate it, how to be more reasonable with AI usage. And companies that gets that right properly, those are the ones that will propel a lot higher in the future, and those are the kind of companies you want to go for. Whereas like companies that don't meet the requirements or kind of slack off from the trends and they just fall off, a lot of companies do become like that, whether it's a big company or not. So the product doesn't always have to be successful because it comes from a you know big tech company. So that's the kind of things you would want to look for when you're looking at these stocks. Ezra, I invested in CHI. IFT bought 40% of the group of 1NZ, and that's why their debt may have gone up. They now own 50%. That's probably a reason why. Yeah, I mean, and that's what Infratel does. Right? Infratel literally just just buys other company stakes. So I'm not too surprised there. And I managed to make $60 off stocks last year. Looking at it to be 110 ish this year. That's really good. That's really good. Any profit is pretty good right now because it's not easy making money right now, and you know it's gonna be interesting to see. Since supermarkets did well in the recent years, profits, would you say buying WoW would be a good investment with the unpredictable future? Sorry, my goodness, that was loud. Woolworth. Yeah, I think these companies are like, it's not the companies you would want to buy just because to become rich, right? These are the kind of companies that is not going to, bankrupt, right? They're like a consumer staple, we call it, because people use it regardless it is a recession or not. People need food, people need necessities, and this is a company that provides these necessities to the for an average person. So, you know, they're always going to be making pretty good money, but I don't know. Like, would it be a good time to buy these kind of companies? If you had owned this company for a long time, I think it's totally fine if you keep buying it. But if you're buying it just because, I'm not sure. Like, unless it's a really good dividend stock, I'm not, I don't, I can't really say. Their revenue is $64 billion and their earnings are only 1.61. Their profit margins are not that good. And you know what happens? Dividends come from profit. No, so you know, that kind of shows you something already. See, they have a lot of, man, they have cost of sales. It's crazy. See, but the revenue kind of stagnated, right? It hasn't really changed over the years. Yeah, it had a little dip during the pandemic, but other than that, it's just recovered. But it's not doing much compared to 10 years ago. So I don't know what to tell you, to be honest. Yeah, at one point they had a really high debt compared to equity, then they came back up. I'm not sure what really happened here, but something must have happened because that's not very normal trends. Their dividend yield is pretty crap, 2.9%. If you're buying something like this where the share price potentially might not go up a lot, at least you want to get a decent amount of dividend. But if you're not getting that much dividend but also not that much share price increase, then what are you actually holding it for? That's pretty much the question, really. Yeah, man, and the CEO guy makes like 7 mil. That's a lot. Jeez. They're managing director of supermarkets. These guys making banks. Not gonna lie. But yeah, if we look at the share price again, it just hasn't done much. Like, would you buy this? I don't know. I wouldn't. I would rather choose. I would rather look for better dividend stocks, if anything. Like these kind of companies where they make consistent revenue and consistent earnings. These companies are very good. That these companies don't really need to reinvest a lot of their money back into the business, right? Like it's pretty smooth sailing after there's a store and after there's a lot of stores for them, and then they just keep making money. But the margins are not that great for them. Sure, whatever. But you know, those kind of companies are the ones that are a good candidate for dividend stocks. But don't think this one would be the best one, to be honest. If I were to give you my stock picks for this year, uh, I'd probably look for ones that has like really solid revenue prospects, let's say. Yeah, that's kind of the thing I'd look for, right? Like, does this company have the ability to make good money even during a recession? I think that's the key thing I'd look for at this point in time if I was to look into stocks. That car would have been our future GT 3 Rs. CHI, I think NZ First will bring it back as it gave 56% fuel back in the mid 2000 to early 10s. I don't think 56% fuel. Yeah, I don't know. CHI. Infrastructure companies, yeah, it's okay, but I'm not. I don't know too much about channel infrastructure, but the price trend stagnated for the past year and a half. The revenue is growing and the earnings growing. Yeah, a lot of expenses. Their free cash flow is negative though. Cash flow is pretty important in a time like now. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Cash flow is pretty important. Debt's rising. Equity is not rising though. That's also something I don't really like to see generally. When they're using their debt for something to buy more assets, that's I'm not too fussed about. But if they're raking out debt to cover for something, which is a negative thing, that's kind of like a red flag for me. Especially if that trend goes on for a year or two, then I'm slightly worried about what is eating up that debt. Why do they need that debt? Why do they need more debt? And what are they covering for if their equity is not going up? Because you see, for all the other companies, when the debt suddenly rises in a certain quarter or a certain month, then the equity rises pretty much the same amount, meaning they kind of bought something, right? But if they got debt but they don't really use it on anything, then that's slightly of a red flag just from a numbers point of view. But if they have a really good reasoning, that's no problem. But infrastructure companies are known to be pretty good dividend stocks, but this one doesn't. It's giving 5.8%, 5.6%. It's not too bad. They had a whole time where they did not give you interest rate, well, to give you any dividends, which is fair enough. Because a lot of companies didn't pay during 2020 and 2022, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit all over the place though. Oh, and ExxonMobil has sold a lot of their stack in this company as well. If Mobil comes out of this company, then what is it saying? I don't know. I don't really like it when big companies take a huge chunk of their shares out of a company, right? Because ExxonMobil, Mobil. Oh, what am I saying? Mobil. Mobil they're a very big company. They're one of the big oil companies, right? And if they're selling, then yeah, I don't know if that's really a good thing. See, ACC has sold too. Not sure if they're just unloading. ACC might just be unloading, but ExxonMobil is a direct kind of, well, they're in the same industry as this company. If they sold their stake, then they must see something that's not really good. You know, that's kind of my take, right? So I do also look at the insider transactions, and I look at the trend of if more people are selling or more people are buying, right? But right now it kind of looks like more are selling than buying, to be honest. Yeah, I don't like the trend. So, yeah. Yeah, Ampol's another big oil company as well. I don't know what country it is. Australian? I'm not sure. Ampol. Mm. Australian, yeah. Forsyth Bar, Investment Management, ACC increased it. Okay, so ACC increased it. But Mobil probably sold everything? Man. Yeah, they probably sold everything. 53 million. So they were first. BP has a bit of piece as well, but yeah. I don't really like this trend, so I'm not sure if I can say much, but you know, I think there's better companies to go for than this one at this point. Hey TT, good to have you in the live stream as well. Ezra, would you say HLG is still a good dividend and Hallensteins? I haven't looked at Hallensteins in a very long time. Apparently, Simply Wall Street really likes it. You know, their share price hasn't done much over the years, to be honest. Not gonna lie, it's quite pathetic. But, you know, hopefully the dividend pays off for it. So the PE ratio is pretty good, not bad at all for a retail store. Um, let's wait for this to load. What's wrong? Why is it not loading? Give me a sec. Okay, so it says Hallenstein should be worth 18 bucks instead of $5. Fair enough, Simply Wall Street doing its thing. But let's have a re-look at everything else. Where's the data? Where's the data? Hey. Hallenstein Glassen. I don't know what happened to it, but I'm not getting that much. Oh, fair PE. I'm not getting any other infographics, but I can't say much. But Hallenstein. Dividends 10%. That's really good. I mean, Hallenstein was always known for paying pretty good dividends, right? So, you know, if that's your thing, sure, why not? But I don't know. It seems like, you know, over the years, I really like Hallenstein back in 2020, 2021. It looked pretty promising, but you know, now I look back, it really hasn't done much. So I'm just thinking, is this a pretty much is this a cap? Is this a cap for Hallenstein's? I'm not sure. Yeah, like I think there might be better companies out there that would pay dividends, right? So if we just look at companies and filter by NZX, banks do well during recessions, not gonna lie. I mean, you obviously seen the news, right? Like banks doing pretty good with like record high profits, but they're also cutting people, and I don't know why. You know, they're being risk averse, right? They're like, if there's a recession comes, we're gonna be affected. You know, typical bank stuff. So, um, let's see what they're gonna do. Highest annual dividend. Ooh, Green Cross. Damn, 39%. That's probably not so sustainable. That's crazy, but it's a small company, so man, but that's a lot. That is a lot. 39%. Air New Zealand. What? You know, I remember when Air New Zealand did their share price, their rights offer, right? Back like, I don't know, was it 2022? Something, somewhere around here, right? Yeah, it was around here. Like, it was, because it was like 55 cents or 50 cents per right, the right offer, right? So, man, it hasn't done much, but if you're getting this much dividend, that's actually not bad if you bought at the bottom as well. Right, so they started paying it last year. So that's not too bad. Shut up! I'm joking. Man, so yeah. These companies, you know, if you look down, like, so if you're using Sharesies, right, you can sort New Zealand stocks and you can filter New Zealand stocks and you can look for highest annual dividends. I'm not going to say always go for the higher ones. You know, Fonterra might be good. And I think I mentioned Fonterra's been doing pretty good, not going to lie. Not going to lie. And their dividends really good. But their share price was also doing pretty good, you know, over the years. It's come up a bit. So, you know, it's not a bad one. There was a time where A2 milk was such a thing. Now it's back to the OG Fonterra, right? Oh gosh. Heartland Group, Heartland Bank. It's I don't know if they're still doing good. Yeah. Kind of came down over the years. Oh, Kathmandu. Yeah, remember these times when Kathmandu was such a thing? It made me a lot of money. Look at that. I sold Kathmandu around here, 2021 January, right? That was good times, right? I was like, Kathmandu must go up, and I just bought it and it just started going up. That's pretty crazy. Oh gosh. Guys, please. Ezra, from what I've found, the CEO has sold a previous company. Seems to be good. Um, good so far. BPG. Oh. BPG. Black Pearl Group. I have never heard of this company. Data driven cloud based services. Wow. Doesn't even have a PE ratio. I don't know what's wrong with my Simply Wall Street, but it's like it's not giving me anything. Give me a sec, guys. Man. I just picked something random, but I just want to see the infographics working. Yeah, they are working. So it doesn't mean those did not have any infographics. Anyways. Gretchen, Jesus, your neighbor's having domestics. Nope, it's not domestic. It's the kids, like, I don't know what they're doing. They're like chasing each other. Yeah, we got a lot of kids in the neighborhood because I live like right behind the primary school. So yeah, a lot of young families live around my area, and It actually sounds like the neighbors having domestics. Jeez. Oh man. Fair enough. So, when we talk about, okay, I think I've talked enough about the chat. Now to give you my thoughts, right? You need to look for companies that's going to do pretty good, right? And first, I was looking at Task, Plexure, the good old days with Plexure. I'm pretty sure you guys all remember. They've been doing okay ever since, right? So they came up like that. I wonder if it's still called Plexure. No, it's not. See? So Plexure actually is quite looking pretty good for me, actually, to be honest, not gonna lie. They delisted from the NZX, so now you can only buy the ASX stock, and the revenue's going up a lot. It improved a lot. They're finally positive earnings, which is really good. They have a really long contract, like multi-year contract with McDonald's, which is really good. Those are the kind of things you're looking for, right? And see, like they finally hit like positive cash flow, but also positive earnings, which is really really good. Not gonna lie, that's kind of the thing that Plexure needed to go to the next kind of phase. And they didn't rake it. They generally did not have much debt at all. They only had a bit when I joined. That was like the hard times before they started making a lot of money. Well, I guess it's only recently they started, making stable money. But, having no debt in a time like now is really good with the interest rate really high. But also, I heard a lot of good things about the CEO, which is good. But yeah. But other than that, right, like I think Plexure is actually in a pretty good, position to do even better because their markets are all like QSRs and entertainment. These are the kind of things that people still go to, especially in Western cultures. They still use it regardless if it's a recession or not. And especially with Task having that multi-year contract with McDonald's, it just makes it even better. So, these are the companies I would actually look forward to. Raycon was another company that I used to have, which currently recently peaked off, and which I briefly talked about in January. And yeah, I wasn't really sure, but they had like a unofficial kind of a buyout kind of offer, something like that. But they have decent earnings. Well, let's have a look. I don't know why some of these like the infographics are not working. Like, hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I paid for this stupid. I paid for you. My goodness. 1.2 is okay. Raycon is really not really a dividend stock. I don't think it has. I think it's too much on its growth period to be a dividend stock. Growth companies don't are normally not dividend stocks, but I don't know why. But yeah, their profit's just not good enough to pay good dividends, so they just reinvest that into the company. If the company needs to reinvest the money back into the business, then it's not a dividend stock; it's a growth stock. If it's big enough where they don't have to reinvest the money and they can just give it out to the the shareholders, then that's when they use majority of their profits to pay off their dividend yield. So, you know, there's two ways, right? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Simply Wall Street. It's like it's not showing me the infographics. Don't know why. Ezra, Choiboy is looking out for danger. Does it mean if a company delists from an exchange? What does it mean? So, it means that the company has literally left the public market, meaning it is either sold to a private company. So you know how when companies are bought out, like I think back in the days, oh, the stupid motorbike. It's not even a motorbike. It's like a dirt bike. Oh gosh. Anyways, like Arvida back in the days that got sold out. A lot of Abano. I think Abano got sold out as well, right? So these buyouts is like when the company now has 100% private owner, then it delists from the exchange. That's what it literally means. There's not much to it. So if it has a private owner, it doesn't have to be public anymore. Else, Plexure, for example, is still a publicly listed company, but they delisted from the NZX, meaning that you cannot buy the stock Task, which they renamed to Task, right? So they cannot buy Task through NZX. Rather, if you want to buy Task, you can only buy it through the Australian exchange now, meaning they delisted from New Zealand exchange because Plexure initially started off on the New Zealand exchange, then they launched, so they listed, or they did a dual listing to ASX, which is the Australian exchange, but they realized there's not much point in this, so they decided to scrap the New Zealand one and just keep the Australian one, and that's what we will probably see if we search Task. See, you can't even find it in the NZX, so I need to get rid of that. See, it's only ASX now, and that's the only one. That's the only one you can buy now. Yeah, fun times, but yeah, that's what it means to be delisted. TT, BYD have overtaken Tesla with sales, right? And that's the thing. Tesla only, Tesla's competing with high-end vehicles. But, people realize Tesla's without the autopilot, is it really worth it? Sure, there's a lot of fun tech and there's a lot of interesting tech. But, yeah, I don't think there's enough, edge. There's no edge in buying such an expensive Tesla. It looks pretty basic to me as well. Like, Tesla fanboys might hate me, but I don't really like how Teslas look. They look boring. They look so minimalistic. They look boring. They have no passion. It has no wow factor. It's literally looks like a simple minimalistic EV. It's screaming I'm an EV, and it's not fun. Sure, I drove a Tesla, I looked at it, I'm not saying it just by blindly. I've ridden one, I've looked at one, I've thoroughly checked one, and I talked to some other Tesla owners. Tesla is known for having shit build quality, right? When you don't have really that much of a good build quality, then yeah, it doesn't matter what your ANCAP rating is. I don't really like the fact that there's gaps, gap differences between the panels and all those kind of stuff, and squeaky interiors and all that. So they're starting to lose a lot of that wow factor, and all these other EV companies like Kia, Hyundai, the German ones are like Benz, Volkswagen, Audi, they all started making Porsche. Even like the even GM, BYD, Haval, everyone's making EVs now, and they're making it cheaper. If you want something to be mass adopted, you have to make it cheap. You can't make it expensive. It's not going to get adopted. Tesla always only sold to decently wealthy people, because people in the normal to lower classes cannot buy a $80,000 car, and a lot of them in New Zealand, they don't even have a garage. You need to go to a freaking BP and use a vector charger to charge your car. Like, that's the reality, right? And the infrastructure is just not there. So, Tesla, while it looks fancy, it's got fancy tech, I don't think majority of the people use it. A lot of people don't still fully rely on autopilot, and it's pretty stupid where you pay $10,000 for Tesla's autopilot, but you can get banned for misusing it, which is pretty much like letting it do its thing. Sure, it's probably not a good idea to sleep while you're on autopilot, but I don't know, right? Like, banning you because you didn't grab the handle during, that I paid $10,000 for it. I want to use the tech, but now I'm getting banned for misusing it. There's a it's a bit weird, to be honest. Thoughts on Garmin? You always ask me about Garmin. um, I don't know. I haven't really looked at Garmin for a while. I mean, they make like they're famous for their watches. I mean, they used to be famous for their navigation systems, obviously. But what is it? $121, $24 billion market cap. Okay, $24 billion market cap. The revenue is 5 billion and the earnings is 1.1 billion. Okay, 20 million. Oh yeah, that's all right. That's not too bad. The earnings is, yeah, it's all right. It's alright. It's alright. The earnings is around a fifth of their revenue, which is actually pretty good profit margin. Not gonna lie. Their free cash flow is staying in the positive, which is really good. They have decent cash flow. No debt, just more equity, which is really good. They have a pretty healthy balance sheet. Not gonna lie. Not having a debt in a time like now is definitely a plus for companies because the interest rates are pretty expensive. And do they pay good dividends? The dividends are not that great. 2.4%. Then it's not the best. Not gonna lie. Yeah, the CEO making banks as always. No surprises there. Damn, 69 years old average age for the board members. Alright, some people selling off their stocks, so a lot of the insiders are selling. So these are the insiders. My goodness, what are they doing? They're like screaming. My. Anyways, a lot of people like sold their stake, which is, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Vanguard sold a little bit. Yeah. Gosh, kids, please. Anyways, you get the gist, right? So Garmin, like financially, it's doing pretty good, but people are selling, and what does that mean? Not sure, really. But if it makes sense for you, I mean, if you like their products and if the financials look good, you just buy it. There's no other way to do it, really. You can't always be right. Hey, Dorian, good to have you in the live stream. It's a very long time. Yeah, good to see you again. Cameron, we hate you. What? Moderator, please reprimand Cameron. Cameron's one of the Tesla fanboys. I see. Ezra, I can moderator. I'm gonna go. Bye, Papa Choiboy. See Ezra. Time to sleep, mate. So yeah, the main takeaway, right, is to buy a stock that's going to be a big thing in the next 2 to 5 years. I think that's a pretty good, start. We don't know what's going to be really good in 10 years. Like 10 years ago, did you know all these technologies we use today was going to be a big thing? I don't think so. A lot of people wouldn't have known, like Netflix would have been this big 10 years ago. Spotify, who knew, right? Not a lot of people knew, right? And back 10 years ago, who knew AI is gonna be a big thing? Sure, we're always talking about, oh, robots gonna take over the world. That's we kind of said it as a joke, but now it's becoming more of a reality. And now you got to think, AI might be the future. So not just AI. You need to look for industries that's just gonna boom in the next 2 to 5 years. It's, as I mentioned, it's hard to predict what's going to be good in the next 10 years, but it is reasonably easier to look for things that might boom within the next 2 to 5 years, right? Like how AI came out and people made all these kind of, use cases of AI. And in my world, in the data world, the companies are all focusing on generative AI. It's these kind of things, right? Like there's gonna be like Microsoft generative AI. Give me a sec. What was it called again? Designer. Yeah. Have you guys seen this? So, like when we talk about AI, it's like this kind of thing. Microsoft came up with this designer thing. And, Adobe made a thing where it does the editing for you. I think Google came up with something as well. I'm not too sure what was it. Google Lumiere. Yeah, so it's like a video. It's like a text to video. So it creates, it creates text into a video and also image to a video, right? So there's a big thing called Google Lumiere as well. But no, this is just like one example of AI, right? So if I go here, if I go like image creator, right? Image creator. Like you must have seen those kind of news, right? It's like, oh, like you take a picture. So Adobe, you take a picture. Or was it Photoshop? Like yeah, you take a picture. You can get rid of the background. You can put in whatever. You can fill the background with generative AI and make it new stuff. And it's like, see, it's like Asian guy that with glasses and blonde hair playing poker. See, that's all you gotta write. So this is generative AI, right? So it's creating something that doesn't exist, and the AI is just doing it for you, right? Cameron, TT, I'll moderate myself. Sits in the corner. Good moderator. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, is that what I look like? This guy's playing four card poker. He's playing PLO. That's funny. Okay. What is it? Claymation. Let's do claymation, right? So claymation's like more of the animated kind of version, but yeah. That's what generative AI is. It's like you type something and it just generates it for you. AI. But that's the thing. Like you got to find the companies that are using that are gonna use AI for a really good use case that resolves a very good need. Man, all right, all right. Let's put cute Asian guy. His eyebrows were really thick. My goodness. Doran, is there a BYD stock? Let's see. No, I don't think so because BYD is a Chinese EV manufacturer, so I don't think they would be in the I don't think they will be in the stock market at least. It'll be privately owned, I think. Hmm. Hey, is that cute? I'm not sure. But is that even blonde? I don't even know either. Okay, fair enough. It made it more cute. Sure. No, so this is AI. See, claymation Asian guy, um, climbing the Mount Everest. It's like these kind of stuff, like things that are not there. You can just create out of thin air, like that's AI. And what's the good use case of this for content creators? We can make videos, we can create new DPs, we can make thumbnails with these, we can make a lot of things with these. It's actually pretty useful. That doesn't really look like I'm pretty big for Mount Everest, but fair enough. uh, Asian guy playing beach volleyball. Something you wouldn't see often. You know, this is AI, and you know, we just got to think what is going to be the future in the next 2 to 5 years. AI is one thing. Solid state batteries is another thing. So battery companies, I think those, battery companies or like chemical, research companies, those guys are going to be really good. See, it's like a random Asian guy playing beach volleyball. He's not really playing beach volleyball. He's just holding a volleyball. But you get the gist. Asian guy with glasses and blonde hair working on the computer with dual monitors. I wonder if that's even gonna work. See, so I think, there's another thing I want to talk about. Okay, let's wait for this to. So there's another thing I want to talk about is S&P 500. I think the question for a lot of people are, where's the stock market gonna go? Stock market gonna go from here? I think the stock market's gonna fall a lot this year. That's what I think, right? But a lot of things has been saying the otherwise because you look at the past 3 years, it's hitting new all-time high right now. So S&P 500, it is hitting new all-time high, 4.9. I think it's going to get rejected at 5K and it's going to stagnate for a bit and it's just going to dip a lot once we go into a proper recession. And that's what I think, right? And during a time like this, even if the company's financials are really good and if a company is doing really well, a lot of companies, especially bigger companies, will follow the market trend. And if the market trend is a bear market, then no matter how good the company is, if it's a bigger company, it will follow the market trend because S&P 500, what is it? It is the top 500 stocks in the US market, and that's what it's made out of. So if that is falling, that means the majority of those big companies are falling with it, and that's just part of the cycle. And if you want to kind of get out of that and pick a good stock, you just need to find these kind of companies that's willing to innovate and make use of those hard times to innovate for the next 2 to 5 to 10 years. And AI seems to be one of the things, but I think semiconductors and hardware is also going to be a thing. So supplying the need for advanced computing and AI solutions. So you need to have really good hardware, robust, capable hardware, high performance hardware. So that's why Nvidia came up a lot, and those are the kind of things you'll be looking for when you're buying stocks. But right now, if I was to buy stocks, as I mentioned, I would buy NZ stocks, which pay dividends. That's like the least I would do, Oh, what's going on here? Oh, task. No. Not on my watch list. I don't care about my watch list. See, so there's a lot of ways you can look for companies which has good dividends, and you can just look into these. But if you want to go the safe route, you can look for companies which has reasonable, reliant, stable revenue and earning streams, because that's going to be a very big thing for the upcoming next 2 to 3 years, I think. You know, things like Sky City. Sky City is another one that I would like to buy if I was looking into stocks. For me, I'd rather do more cryptocurrencies than stock at this point in time. But because there's a lot of talks around the halving and the ETFs, and I think it's a good time to accumulate right now, and that's what I'm doing. But yeah, if I was to look at stocks, things like Sky City, right? They're a pretty big company, $1.4 billion. You know, and if you look at their financials, it's actually not too bad. Yeah, sure, their earnings come up and down, up and down. It's quite a seasonal thing, but also they pay decent dividends, if I'm not wrong. is it? Yeah, their debt to equity ratio is really good now. So it was getting better, then it kind of come back up, but I guess it's hard times for them as well. But the dividend 6.4%, which is actually not that bad. It is a bit apparently it is a bit high for their earnings, so it's not sustainable. But we'll have to see. That's probably because their earnings dipped in the recent quarter. Damn, makes $3 million. But you get the gist, right? So that's the kind of things I'd look for. It's like you're either looking for safe options, which are consumer staples, which has really good revenue and earning streams and can pay decent dividends, or you're looking companies that are smaller to big. It can be any size company that has decent potential to boom in the next 2 to 5 years, meaning they're in the right industry. And right now, AI is one thing, and I think another thing is going to be automation and automation systems for retails or services. I think that's going to be a big thing because everyone's with the rising cost of labor. A lot of business owners will want to automate a lot of their workflow, and a lot of the things they can automate, like kiosks is a big thing. So if any small companies are in that industry, I think that's going to be pretty good, especially post COVID. It's been doing pretty good, so I think those are the kind of things I'd be focusing on, to be honest. Asian guy with glasses and blonde hair working on a computer, dual monitors. It actually gave me, and it looks, it doesn't look like me, but the hair looks similar. Like I have some black coming up and blonde hair. Okay, all right, I rate that. See, generative AI, people, generative AI. Heartland. Let's have a look at Heartland, because I haven't looked in a very long time. So they're worth just under a bill, which is pretty much similar to what they were before. So they've been going down, just like most other companies, really. Their fair price, their PE ratio is 10, so it's dropping, which is good. That means their earnings are coming up. Their share price is either coming down or their earnings are coming up. So the earnings are pretty consistent, not gonna lie. They make decent earnings. And Heartland Bank is a mortgage bank. Fundamentally, they make a lot of money through mortgages, and especially reverse mortgages is one of their signature products. So reverse mortgage is when you're putting a collateral. So you're borrowing money based off the house, and when you sell the house, you pay back that the whole principal and the interest all in one. So during that time, let's say you reverse mortgage your house for 30 years, then 30 years later, when you sell the house, you need to give that 30 years worth of money you got from them plus the interest, and it pays off once you sell it. So that's a reverse mortgage, and that's what they kind of base a lot of their business around, not only home loans. So, you know, quite interesting business, to be honest, compared to other banks. But their revenue and earnings is actually pretty good. I saw their office in Newmarket, just nicely right next to the Westfield, Newmarket Westfield. Mm, yeah, the debt's really high, but that's the same with a lot of banks. Banks generally have a really high debt to equity ratio because they just run off debt, and they just need to make enough money to service the debt. And that's just how banks work, really. Um, I'll show you other banks as well for people who are slightly worried. But dividend is really good. 8.6% is really good. It's better than a term deposit. So if you're willing to hold Heartland for a very long time, and I don't think the share price will drop that much for Heartland. It might, but if you're planning to hold the Heartland for a very long time, then I think it might be worth it, to be honest. What was I gonna look at? Yeah, it's been coming down for the past 2 years, but it's a similar thing with everyone else. Westpac. Yeah. So if we look at Westpac, which is one of the top 3 banks in Australia, also top 3 in New Zealand, they all have very similar kind of things. So their revenue and earnings really good. But if you look at their balance sheet, it's always that crazy stuff, and the cash flow could really, like, you know, do very crazy stuff because it's a bank, obviously. That's just the nature of their industry. But see, even Westpac had debt way higher than equity for a very long time. They don't actually have that much equity, and they don't need to. But you know, that's the kind of thing I'd look for. So Heartland, would it be a good time to buy Heartland? I think it's okay if you're willing to hold it for 2 to 5 years, because their dividends is actually not bad. And during recessions, people banks make decent money, so you won't have problems of them going bankrupt for most of them, and as long as they're pretty, you know, well sustainable banks. You don't want to go for banks that are way too small, and also way too small banks are normally not publicly listed, so that's fine. So something like Heartland might not be a bad choice. TT, how's Rocket Lab looking nowadays? I don't know. $2.5 billion market cap, which is decent. They've kind of stagnated, so their price dipped a lot in 2022, right? So they came down a lot. It came up a bit, but it's not doing much for the past year or so. So, yeah. Apparently their fair value is around 38 bucks, so it's 10x, but who knows, really. Um, Yeah, I mean, they're still not making any earnings, right? And their earnings are going more and more on the negative side. So, and their revenue kind of stagnated as well in the past couple of quarters. So, I'm not sure. It's not looking too great, to be honest. And to be fair, I don't think a lot of people are, well, not the world is not really focusing much about space stuff anymore, like Virgin Galactic and rocket labs and satellites. I don't know. I don't think that's like a big thing nowadays. A lot of the people are looking towards tech and AI. That's where the money is at in these times. But yeah, the equity shot up, but just coming down and down and down and down. I guess they're servicing for the loss of their earnings, because they're not making any earnings, so they gotta cover it from somewhere, which is probably their equity coming down. Would I buy this company? Probably not. Probably not at this point in time. Yeah, and a lot of insiders selling. That's also not a good look, to be honest. Even though it's only like 2 or 3 people selling, but you know, generally there's no one inside, no insiders are buying. They're just selling, which is not a really good look. So, yeah, Rocket Lab, I'd probably stay away from it, but either way. Dorian, I bought into Heartland when they raised capital 2020, burn bad. But that's the thing. For banks and these kind of dividend stocks, you're just willing to stay at it for 5, 10 years. It's like a KiwiSaver, right? You shouldn't be going into big consumer staples and banks expecting to become rich really quick. It's more of like you're reinvesting your dividend and you're growing your capital, and you just keep doing that. That's what you do with dividend stocks. I think a really good dividend stock is Spark. Because, you know, you think about it, every other infrastructure you might not use. You know, consumer staples, there's pack and save, there's competition. But, you know, Spark also has competition. But Spark being the biggest provider in New Zealand, they actually had a lot of they have really good financials when I last looked at it as well. So they're worth nearly $10 billion, $9.7 billion. See, their share price hasn't done much, but it hasn't come down either, which is really good. For dividend stocks, if your share price holds, at least you're making money off the dividends, right? So P ratio is 8.5%. Their P ratio dipped a lot in the recent years, which is really good. That means their earnings came up, right? If the share price didn't move, then their earnings came up. And see, you can see the revenue came up and the earnings came up as well. So they're making a lot of good money here. See, they were making 2 years ago. They were making what 413 mil. Now they're making 1.13 bill. So that's really good increase. That's like a three times, nearly triple earnings. So really good. Yeah, the earnings came up a lot. I'm not sure why though. Yeah, they paid off a bunch of debt, which is always really good. You always want to get rid of the debt. You just want to pay down the debt when the interest is high because it's not really good, and it's servicing the debt is not very good. But also look at the dividend; it's not that bad, 5.1%, and the share price didn't dip much. These are the kind of companies I'd rather buy at a time like now if you want to do stocks, right? Companies that always has customers and paying customers regardless of the economic stance in the country, right? That's the best kind of company. So, you know, as well, it might not look flash, and Spark is quite a boring company overall in the stock market, for example. It's just a telecommunications company, but they're they have a lot of different businesses within Spark, so it's not just telecommunications they do a lot of other things now, and they have a lot of side businesses, right? So they're trying to expand. You can see they're trying to expand sideways, which is what a lot of companies do once they hit that kind of limit in terms of vertical capacity. They increase their horizontal capacity, meaning they just go into more verticals in terms of like different different markets. That's why they wanted to do Spark Sport and stuff like that. I'm not sure if Spark Sport's still a thing, but those are the kind of thing these companies will focus on. Regardless, Spark's making pretty good money. So if you were holding Spark for the past 10 years, you're making decent money. And yeah, look, if you bought it in 2014 February, look, $2.35. Now it's worth $5, so you doubled your principal. Plus, you would have reinvested your dividends all the way from 2014 onwards. So it's actually not that bad. Actually, not that bad. And their dividends has always been pretty decent, around 6 to 5%, right? So they've been very consistent. Even during COVID, they've been really consistent with their dividend yields. They didn't cancel like a lot of companies, so that's really good too. TT, same here. I think Aussie growth taking longer since pressure on shares, but good growth story next few years. Most of the company capital raises from Sharesies in 2021, 2022, lost money in all of them. Yeah. I don't really buy companies that do capital raises unless I have like a huge amount, which I'm not going to take out for the next 5 to 10 years. Mainly because if they're doing a capital raise, then they're already not in a good situation, and they're pretty much asking the asking the shareholders to bail them out, right? And I don't really think that's a good start, first of all. So I normally don't like companies that even think about doing a capital raise, because it already shows them what kind of situation they're in, and it's normally not that good. So yeah, now right? Now majority of companies who raise capital for no good reason, you know, those are the kind of, just to cover their asses. That's the kind of companies you just got to be cautious about. It's not that they can't come up, but they already got one foot in the mud. You know, it's just, you just got to keep an eye on it. You can't just be like, oh, they're doing capital raise, like it might go up in the future. It doesn't really work like that half the time, more than half the time. Yeah, shares, property, crypto all dropped from 2021 to 2022, but I think crypto is going to be really good. So I'm accumulating mostly crypto. I'm not doing any stocks. If you ask me what I'm doing, just accumulating a couple of stocks, a lot of XRP, a couple of like Ethereum competitors like Solana based stuff, or Avalanche based stuff. I'm taking a punt of some of those. But so that's what I'm going to be accumulating this year. So I'm just going to be accumulating crypto, and I'm going to sit on them for the next 2 to 5 years, and yeah, see where it goes, because I think it's going to be very interesting by the time late this year, like November, December this year. I think we're going to go into a very big bull run. Very, very big bull run in crypto. That's what I think, based on history. History is not all everything, but it always seems to be the case with the ETF approval and stuff like that. there's going to be a lot of hype coming in later, but I think before the crypto bull market comes, it will have a bit more decline. That's what I think. So it's going to decline a bit more, then it's going to start shooting up like no tomorrow. Exactly the same thing happened back in 2017 when I first started crypto. Bitcoin started, diving, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Then it suddenly just made a boom. So it had a flash crash, then it just went up, right? So that's what happens with these, with these cryptocurrencies. So that's the kind of thing you gotta worry about when you buy it. Once you buy it, you gotta think you lost the money and just hold it. That's the only strategy you have for crypto. If you like the cryptocurrency, you like the product, you like its use case and what it does, and if it makes sense to you, you buy it and you hold it. You don't do anything, regardless if it goes up or down. If it goes down, buy even more. Not financial advice, but personally, if I really believe in this in the long term, I don't buy it because of short term volatility. And also, cryptocurrencies generally have really high short term variance. So why you worry so much about it? You just gotta buy the dips. If it dips, you buy more, and it pays off in 5 to 10 years. You don't know when it's gonna pump, but when it pumps, it's paying you off right away. For all those times you waited, it's gonna pay you off within a month. The moment bull run comes, that's how fast cryptocurrencies go up, and that's what I've experienced back in 2017 when that bull run. I saw my cryptocurrency value go up to 260k. 260k, no jokes, with a lot of money. I had majority of my savings back then in XRP and literally saw that skyrocket. Sure, I was really greedy, should have sold back then, should have tethered it something and sold it out, but I didn't. Another lesson learned as well. If it goes up, it's probably a good idea to at least partially, take some profit, because it's not going to go up forever, and you can't be like, oh, it came up so much, so I can definitely double it. I can do another double from here. The moment you think like that, it normally goes the opposite way. So that's the kind of thing you got to think about. Don't be greedy. Take profit if the bull run comes, and until the bull run comes, just don't touch it. That's the generic kind of strategy for cryptocurrencies. Cameron, I wish I invested in Silicon Valley Bank. Good idea. Beautiful idea, Cameron. All your money gone in a day. Dorian, Spark is very good. Exactly. Spark is a very solid company. And I worked there, right? I worked there. My previous company was Spark. And, it was a very good company. Oh, yeah. By the way, guys, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, please add me on LinkedIn. But, yeah. You can just look for Jack Choi and give me a sec. So yeah. See, so this is my LinkedIn. Find me, add me on LinkedIn if you want connections. But see, during this time, Spark was doing hot stuff. I mean, yeah, it's really good. Not gonna lie, Spark was a really good company. TradeMe was also a decent company to work for, at least, but it's a private company, right? So it's not on the public listings. But yeah, that was an interesting company too. Plexure, which is called Task now. Yeah, good old days. It's gonna do better, I think. So Plexure is not a bad company to own as well, I think. Anyways, add me on LinkedIn if you want to. Yalla. Okay. TT, what about Bitcoin ETFs? I don't think I'll buy the ETFs itself. If the ETF was to do anything, I'd rather own the Bitcoin itself than the ETF. ETF is majority is for commercial investments or like bulk investments. I don't think an individual retail investor would profit that much from ETFs, if anything. And I don't even think the ETF is going to be a big thing for the price. So I think I'd rather buy the Bitcoin itself and wait for it to go up, right? And that's the thing. Like, I don't like buying a derivative or like a. Uh, I'm not gonna say I'm against ETFs, but if I really think something's gonna go up, I'd rather want to buy the stock. Sure, I'm not saying I'll buy every stock and just negate ETFs, but especially for cryptocurrencies, I really don't see a much of a benefit from a retailer, just like one of normal retail investor point of view. You'd rather buy some Bitcoin and hold on to that. That's my 2 cents there. Cameron, yeah, but the thing we all invest in Sparky leaves for another company. That's right. But yeah, this is one out of the cryptocurrencies actually. My next live stream should be about cryptocurrencies, but yeah, this is the one I kind of missed out on because I watch listed Radium, which is based off Solana. It's an exchange. It's an exchange coin pretty much. So this one actually I was looking at investing back around here in November. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I think it's gonna be pretty good. Actually, I kind of found it around here early November when it was 25 cents, and I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Then it just went like that. That's the thing, right? I should have bought like even $1,000, and I would have like made it to 5K or something. But unfortunate. But yeah, I'm waiting for XRP to come down just a bit more so I can accumulate more XRP. Because I first got into XRP when it was 19 cents. That's a long time ago, guys. Like, it's back here, right? Where is it? Yeah, see? There was times like, these times, this is when I got into cryptocurrency. Like, this is when I first got into reading about cryptocurrencies and researching about it, and this is when I started investing into cryptocurrencies. Like around August September of 2017 before this bull run. So it was a crazy time, but that's the thing, right? Even if you hold it from then till now, you still made money, to be honest. And if you got in like in these times in early 2017 before it even was a cent, you made 50x money. I mean, like, come on, you just sell a bit and you just hold more for dear life, really. Shane Bennett, what about VNT? Are you talking about VNT chain? No, what are you looking at? Are you talking about, is this a stock? What VNT are you talking about, Shane? TT, yes, a live stream on crypto would be great. Keen to learn more. Yeah, I can talk more about cryptocurrency next time. We can. It's a hot topic nowadays, and I think with the Bitcoin halving soon, I should name it like Bitcoin halving is coming. My strategy for crypto 2024. Such a clickbait, but yeah, I can talk about my strategy. I mean, there's not much strategy, right? You just look for good coins and you just buy and hold. There is no strategy. There is no financials you need to look into. Sure, you need to look into tokenomics. You can look into the white papers. You can look into the product and what it resolves and why is it good for the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Those are the kind of things you can look into. But yeah. Jordan, hey, I just sold all my shares to buy an apartment. Hope it was the right decision. Lol. Yeah. Uh, uh, I think I sold all my shares last year, so we're on the same boat there. I am holding back from buying an apartment, especially apartments don't go up in capital value much over the year. So, like in the past decade, apartment prices in Auckland hasn't really risen. So, I mean, I'm not sure what your purpose of buying the apartment was, but if it's making you, if it's a rental and if it's making enough to cover the mortgage, sure, fine, why not? But if it's something, if you're living in it, also why not? You can live in, it's fine buying a house that you're gonna live in, but um, if you didn't need the apartment right now, I don't think it was the best time to buy an apartment. Sure, it is quite cheap. So, I mean, this is the same thing with housing. You should never really um, try to time the market. So, if you need a house for some reason, it's probably a good time to buy it. But with the interest rate so high, I don't know. I still think the house prices might dip a bit, and interest rates are going to take a while for it to come down. It might dip a bit. Interest rates might come down maybe like 0.5%. I don't know, like 0.75%, maybe even 1% over the next year. But is that significantly going to change much? I don't think so. I think house prices might go up from 2 to 3 years later, but maybe not this year. And even if it does go up, I think the interest rate still makes it very unfavorable for people who don't need a house. I don't think it's a good time to buy a retirement, not a retirement, rental house. But a lot of other people have different opinions. So by all means, I don't know who's right, but all I can say is a bit too many people are saying house prices will still go up. I beg to differ, but you know, only time will tell what's going to happen there. I need somewhere to live. If that's the thing, then I mean, you have no choice, right? If you need somewhere to live, rent's pretty expensive nowadays, so buying a cheap apartment and paying mortgage for it might be worthwhile because at least you're getting something back. You're paying off an asset rather than paying off a landlord. So in that kind of case, you probably made the right decision, right? And yeah, with the stock market not looking too great for the next couple of years, I think that was not a bad idea. Sure, I could be wrong, but who knows? At this point, anything could happen. There's a lot of different stories out there, but yeah, I'm taking the pessimistic kind of view at this point in time. Jordan, and didn't want to sink all my money into rental and pay someone else's mortgage. That's the thing. If you need to live in it, by all means, you're in a different situation. You buy the house. If you don't have if you have somewhere to live where you don't have to pay rent, for example, I'm living in my parents' house. Kind of feels like renting because I've used the whole top floor, but I pay all the bills for them. It's a win-win for them. They don't have a mortgage, so we don't have to worry about too much. So in my case, it actually makes sense to not buy a house. But in your case, if you need a place to live, it's probably better to pay off the mortgage than paying off someone else's mortgage, as you say. So yeah, I think you did make a good call there. Selling shares, if you needed to sell your shares, by all means. Some people tend to just not sell the shares and just save up cash and keep the shares. But if you had not much of an option there, then I think buying a house is definitely something it's more important if you don't have anywhere to live, for sure. Jordan, eventually we'll turn the apartment into a rental and hopefully for some passive income and you move to a better house. Hopefully that's the dream, right? So good luck with that. Cameron, or could you move in with Jack? He has a spare room, I hear. Cameron, please. I think the chat's there and viewers there as well. I mean, this was a very short notice live stream because I was home, but yeah, thanks all for coming today. I'll talk more about cryptocurrencies next time, but until then, yeah, thanks for joining in. I only got 4 people watching now, so I'll call it a day. My throat is yeah, struggling a bit, so I shall give it a rest. Thank you all for coming today, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.